So I want to introduce this morning's theme, and I want to talk about two opposite states in life. We can have, on the one hand, a state of calmness, a state of centeredness, a state of being able to stand our own ground, a sense of ourself. And on the other hand, we can have a sense of being very open, very sensitive to our surroundings, very expansive. And sometimes these two states can get out of balance. We can get too introverted, too sort of shut down in ourselves. Particularly, I think that's a tendency when we're all isolated from each other and locked down. On the other hand, we can tend to sometimes get too involved in what's going on outside and lose a sense of ourselves. And one of the things that we can do in yoga is to try to find the right balance or the right combination between these two qualities, so that we have, on the one hand, a sense of a stable center, but on the other hand, a sense of a sensitive openness at the same time. And so it's about finding the right relationship between ourselves and what's outside of us. And we can express that directly in the exercises that we do. We can express that directly in our movements. We can work with our body in such a way that we have a central axis and a calmness and a stability, a firmness on the one hand, and also a sense of lightness, a sense of openness, a sense of expansion with other parts of the body. We can bring both these qualities to expression at the same time. So I'd like to read you a sentence which we can keep in mind in order to help us do this. And it says, "Our own body and its senses stand in relationship to the external space." This quote is taken from one of Heinz Grill's articles, which is actually on his website in English. It's called The Weightlessness of the Flowing Breath. And I'll read the quote again. "Our own body and its senses stand in relationship to the external space." So we're going to focus on that today, on the relationship between our own body with the senses that belong to it and the external space around us. Would you like to start in a standing position? So you're very familiar with this first exercise. We call it sensing the space. It is actually this exercise that's described in the article that I described, because the breathing, when we do this exercise, can start to be experienced in a very weightless kind of way. But we start by looking around with our senses into the external space. We want to experience the relationship of our own body. You can start to use the senses in your fingers, the senses in your eyes, also on your skin. We have senses on our skin. We could even imagine our breathing to be kind of like a sense as well. You can sense your breath coming in and out. So in all of these ways, we can experience the relationship of our own body and our senses to the external space. So this movement with the arms, it's not just a movement, it's a sensing gesture. You can sense the breath, you can sense the air, you can sense the space, you can sense that sense of expansion. And at the same time, you can sense how in the middle of your body, with your feet and your legs and the trunk of your body, you have that calm stability. Directly in this exercise, we can experience, through this process of sensing, how we have on the one hand calmness and stability, and on the other hand a sensitive relationship to the external space around us. Let's come into the forward bend, hanging down. Just take a little bit of time, let your back stretch. Let your shoulders relax and arms, neck and head. And let your breath flow quite freely. And then come up in a free swinging movement, back up into this gesture, which we could call the gesture of sensitive awareness. We have our stable central axis of the body, and we have that openness, that awareness, that relationship to the external space. And take the hands down. So now we're a bit more prepared for the sun prayer, where we can keep that same thought. Our own body and its senses stand in relationship to the external space. Take the hands together. Take the arms up into that external space. Take the hands down and look in. Take your right foot back, forming a base with the half moon, and open up to that external space. Come into the plank. Knees, chest and forehead down. Open into the cobra. Push into the downward dog. Right foot forward, forming a base. Opening up. And left foot forward. Come up once again. And grow. And take the hands down. Hands together. Take the arms up. Opening up to this space. We have a relationship to the space. Looking in. Left foot back. Forming the base. Opening up into the half moon. Coming into the plank. Knees, chest and forehead down. Slide forwards and open into the cobra. Push into the downward dog. Left foot forward. Half moon. Growing. And the right foot forward. Coming up once again. And take the hands down. So when we have this idea of relationship, we always need two elements. We need ourself and we need the thing that we're forming a relationship to. So let's bring this idea into our next round of the sun prayer. We have a sense of our own body on the one hand, and we have a sense of the space around us. Certain elements of our own body need to be quite strong and stable, and the space around us needs to be free and open. So we have this contrast, this polarity. Take the hands together. Let's be aware of the stable legs, strong legs, and this very open chest, free breath, arms. Come down again, looking in. Take the right foot back. Let's pause to make a good firm base with the legs. You can really feel the strength there. And then that real openness of the upper body as you stretch up, letting the breath expand. A little bit more of an expansive stretch this time. Coming into the plank. Good firm, strong line. Take the knees down. Arch your back. Take the forehead down and the chest. Slide along the ground. Keep the legs well anchored. You've got a strength, a stable base, and then you can really open the chest more. The two polar opposites work together. Come into the triangle, so a good length right through your back, stretching out a bit more this time. Now take the right foot forward and once again grow to form a really good strong base with your legs. Then you can find a more extensive activity to open with your upper body. Come into the other foot forward, looking in. And then come right the way up to the standing half moon. Once again, we'll grow a bit more this time. Very firm legs and feet. And an active stretch and lengthening and growth right through the body. Take the hands down. Do it on the other side again. More intensive growth. So good firmness with the base. And an active lengthening so you can really open out. Take the hands down next to your feet and look in. Take the left foot body. We'll pause to work through both legs a bit more to get the more active stability and then an active growth and opening right up through the upper body. And then come into the plank. Firm line. Knees, chest and forehead down. Slide along the ground. Open into the cobra. Good active growth. Push into the downward dog. So good lengthening through the back. Left foot forward. Again, pause a bit, grow more actively into your legs. Take the arms up, down, lengthen and grow. And then come into the forward bend, looking right in. And come right the way up to the standing half moon, firm legs and feet again. And this active opening to the external space. Take the hands down by your sides. Let's come to the twisted triangle. You need to take your feet wide apart for this one. Once again, we can have this good stable base, which gives us that sense of stability. And, excuse me, with the arms, we form that relationship again to that openness outside us, that expansiveness. And a thought we can use for this exercise is that we're bringing the expansiveness with us into the movement. We start with that open relationship to the space and we bring it into the movement with us. So if you haven't done the movement already, then take your arms wide out, lift, and take that open expansiveness right with you as you take the one hand down to the opposite foot and look up at the hand. Come back again. Wide open movement. Firm legs. Lifting and down to the other side. Expansively into that space. And right the way up again. Take your hands down. So we're working on this relationship, this contrast between a sense of our own stability and a sense of openness to our surroundings. In this exercise, we have a contrast between the stability of the legs and that expansiveness that we bring with us into the movement. Let's do it again on each side with that thought. The legs remain really firm and stable, and you can lift and expand your arms and take that free expansiveness right the way around into the movement. The legs remain stable. The body streams up into the space. Stretch up a little bit further still. Come back again. Stable legs, wide open arms. Lift and freely down to the other side. Stable legs, wide open arms, and stretch right the way far up into the space. Come back again, wide open movement, and take the hands down. Let's come next to the half moon. So for the half moon, then you need to take 1 foot forward in front of you, like that. So once again, we have this openness with the upper body. We're forming a very good, stable base with our legs. Let's work just with the leg position. You can come down into this position. And what you can feel quite consciously is how you're approaching the ground. That can have a very calming feeling as you approach the ground more and more. Just keep the upper body with that sensitive openness. The chest is open, the breath is flowing, just a natural sensitivity. But the legs, you feel them coming close to the ground. Let's return again, change over to the other side. Good uprightness, good openness. Keep the body upright as you push it. You can push into that back leg. And as you feel the legs coming closer to the ground, it can give you that sense of calmness. The breath stays free. Be aware of these contrasting elements that are connected with our relationship to the external space. On the one hand, the calmness. On the other hand, the openness. Come back again. Just come into child's pose. Right, so come back up once again. So, the region of expansion is here in the solar plexus region, the sides of the body, the rib cage area. This whole middle area is responsible for this ability to expand out and open, whereas the legs, as I mentioned, give more this calm closeness to the earth. So this time, I'll show you on this side. Just have a look how we're combining now these two elements. On the one hand, we're going to combine this calming movement downwards, and then on the other hand, from here, an expansive lift upwards. So if you'd like to start like this, and then move your legs forwards into this downward position, close, approaching the earth. And then take the arm up. So you have to keep those hips anchoring down as you expand upwards from the middle, from the region of the solar plexus, breath flowing freely. And then return again. Change your legs around. Start with the body upright. Take the legs down towards the earth and just pause to become aware of how, if you really work into your legs, you feel yourself coming closer to the earth. And at the same time, that has a calming quality. Then take the arm up, gently to start with. Focus on the solar plexus, and from there you can actively lift, actively stretch a bit more intensively. So we're going both down and up, stability and openness, breath flowing. take the hand back down. Come back again. Come into child's pose. So I'd like to do the half moon one more time. I want to demonstrate finally the top region of the body, which is the part that is really responsible for what we could describe as sensitive openness. It needs the other two aspects, the aspect of calm groundedness and active expansion as well. And then we can find this quality of sensitive openness. I'm going to demonstrate, I hope you can see well enough on your screens. I'm going to demonstrate doing the movement in 3 stages. The first stage is to find the calm groundedness with the legs. So you can work quite actively into the legs. Then I'll take the arms up, and the second stage is the more active growing from the rib cage region and active lifting of the chest. And now the third stage is the most difficult. We have to kind of let go in the chest area. And that is when a greater openness can come in. That's more advanced, and particularly if you suffer with any lower back problems, you should be more careful with that stage. The first 2 are probably more appropriate, and with the third stage you can just be aware of a kind of more freedom around the head. So take 1 foot forward, keep the body free and open, come into the base, take a bit of time to find that calmness, that groundedness, approaching the earth. Take the arms lightly up. Now lift from the rib cage and grow. That's the stage of expansion. And now comes the stage more of a sensitive openness. You can lengthen right back through the arms. Let the breath flow. And return again. Change over to the other side. Starting with an uprightness. Take the legs down into that base position. Coming close to the ground. Take the arms lightly up. Keep those legs really moving outwards and downwards as you expand in your middle. And once you've got that real expansion, you can then think of that sensitive openness in your chest as you continue back, right through the arms, right through to the fingertips. And return. Come back again into child's pose. And then come back up to a standing position. We'll come to a gentle balancing exercise, the St. Andrew's cross. For this one, you need your feet a little bit less than 1 meter apart. And the hands form this sensitive reaching out gesture, reaching out into the external space. Our sentence once again is how our own body and its senses stand in relationship to the external space. Our own body and its senses stand in relationship to the external space. The center in this position is just below the heart. It's between the solar plexus and the heart. So that gives us a sense of our own self. And the limbs which are directed outwards give us that sense of relationship to the external space. Be aware of your fingers. Let's come up gently onto the toes without losing your balance. Breath flowing. We have the center of the cross that represents our own self. And we have the limbs which are directed into the external space. And that represents the relationship with what's around us. Come back down again. And relax. We'll come to another standing position, another balance, and this is the dancer. This is a more active one. The center is the solar plexus. You need to take one ankle with your hand. Remain aware of this solar plexus so you don't bend forwards or collapse from there. You stay open and upright. The other hand comes up. And in the dancer, we grow from the middle, from this region, in the two directions. You can grow back into your leg and up through your chest and arm. Growing actively in both directions outwards. Breath flowing freely, coming and going from that sensitive space. And return again. So take hold of the other ankle. Be aware of your middle. Take the arm up. So the movement is done by consciously moving outwards in both directions from the center, backwards into your leg, upwards through the upper body and the arm, right up through to the fingertips. Breath flowing. And then return again. Just roll down and hang forwards like this. And then come back up and sit down on your mats. We'll finish off with one final exercise, and this one is the sitting balance. We'll start first of all with the heels on the ground, just to make sure we can get a very good upright position with the body. So your back, your arms right up through to your fingers, try and straighten them up as much as you can. So you can feel a very clear form made with your body. Now I'll just demonstrate the position we're actually going to try and do, if you can, is this position. It's very strenuous, but you can see from the position the body makes a V shape. And what I'd like you to think about is not just of the strenuousness, which is obviously is very strenuous. We'll just hold it for a few seconds, but the body fits in with its V shape into the external space. So I'd like you to try and picture your own body in relationship to the space around it. So come back into this starting position. Make sure you get a good line up through your back, right up to your fingers. Then you can lift the legs up. We'll try and hold it for about 20 seconds or so, but remain aware of the V shape of your body in the space around you. Keep the breath flowing. Try and even straighten out the legs if you can. And then relax down again. Just come into an upright sitting position. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of how the breath comes and goes from the space that surrounds you. So I just want to remind you of the theme from today, which was about finding the right relationship between our own self with our calmness, our stability, our sense of center on the one hand, and our relationship to the external space on the other hand, with its expansiveness, with sensitive participation, with openness. We worked at bringing these two elements together, stability and openness. So let's finish our session there.